The Fortnite Omniverse connects every universe in existence onto the 0 point. And in continuity, this includes both the DC and Marvel universes. That's right. Canonically speaking, Batman, Spider-Man, and Wolverine have all been to the Fortnite universe. Batman Fortnite 0 Point, Foundation, and Fortnite X Marvel Zero War are in today's Comicstorian Full Story Supercut, a series where we take related full stories and put them together for a better, more fun viewing experience. Fortnite is gearing up for a new chapter, so enjoy this crossover full story while you wait. I hope you enjoy.
As the skies of Gotham are ripped apart by a strange force, Gordon lights his pipe stating that it appeared about 7 minutes ago. The GCPD are already evacuating those within 6 blocks of the sighting. Batman tells him, "Widen it. Those readings are disturbing. Tachyons. Rydberg matter. Whatever this is, it's tearing reality itself apart. I'll take a closer look." Gordon tells him that there's one more thing. Most people are running away, but he's got some reports that a few of them are heading towards it. Batman sets off telling him, "Good. If there's someone causing this, then we can stop it with the proper incentive. Then again, this is Gotham. There's always the chance that the people running towards it are just insane." Case in point, Harley Quinn. This sort of thing isn't her normal MO, but she's drawn to chaos like a moth to flame. Up ahead, Harley yells that she can't believe it. They already went through. Yeah, you stop for 2 minutes to clean up some hyena poop and everyone starts it without you. As Batman swings in, he tells Harley to get away. She has no idea what she's dealing with. But Harley spins back, shooting, telling him, that's just typical of you. Just because you don't know, you assume that I don't know what this is. Batman asks, "Who went through?" And Harley spins back, hitting him with her knee, telling her, "I ain't no snitch, and you're not gonna ruin my fun, Batty Bat." As Harley jumps off into the fissure, Batman tries to reach out, but Harley disappears into the tear, leaving Batman alone on the rooftop. He sighs, stating that there is nothing that he can do now except try to figure out what this disturbance is. The readings from earlier are confirmed. Plus, he's picking up a disturbing amount of energy that his instruments can't identify. Whatever this is, it doesn't seem like it's coming from their world, or even this universe. But while Batman tries to make sense of the situation, a mysterious figure swings in from behind, kicking Batman forward into the tear. He quickly turns around to try and fire his grappling hook, but as he shoots, the anchor is pulled back with him into the scene. He tries to grab onto something, anything, but as the pressure around him gets stronger, everything turns black. A short time passes and Batman wakes up in a strange place just as a purple storm is making its way towards him. He fires his grappling hook, staying ahead of the storm, but suddenly, it stops. Batman stares for a moment, thinking that nothing natural behaves this way. The only thing worse than the thought that it's externally controlled is the level of power that it would take to do that. But as Batman begins to investigate the new land, a masked man jumps out of the trees, wielding an axe. Using his training, Batman catches the man, twisting with momentum, slamming the man into the ground. He tells them nothing. That's when Batman realizes that he can't talk. The man rolls, kicking Batman off, and Batman thinks that he can communicate with sign language. He starts to spell out, "I am, I," but stops when he realizes he doesn't know who he is. He is a trained fighter, and so is this man. Are they in some kind of a prison? Unlikely. They've both got weapons. The landscape isn't familiar. He's not from here, and he knows that he should be able to talk. At that moment, a speeding boat passes along the river, and Batman takes out one of his batarangs, throwing it into the boat, letting the cable it's attached to drag the man off. Finally, taking a moment to catch his breath, Batman surveys the scene again to try and process everything that has happened. But he knows that there is somebody manipulating him, and he doesn't like being manipulated. Higher ground should give him a better view of... At that moment, he sees the glint of the sniper scope in the distance, and he narrowly jumps out of the way of the oncoming bullet. As Batman tumbles down through the hills, he starts to get up, asking if everyone here is a homicidal maniac. And then he looks up to see dozens of what looks to be people, all shooting and attacking one another. New theory: Batman's gone mad, and this is an asylum. A large Viking charges and swinging an axe, but Batman dodges, disarming him. After knocking the man down, he looks around to see what's coming next, and he notices a woman not like the others. She's in a familiar suit. It looks like a cat. He knows her. Somehow. and judging by her expression looking at him, he can see that it's mutual. But while looking at him, the woman is caught off guard and one of the dozens of attackers manages to get a hit in. Batman throws his batarang, knocking the attacker back, and he fights his way through the crowd to give her some space. Once settled, the two begin working together to hold the attackers back. They don't remember each other, but their coordination is flawless. Are they partners, colleagues, friends, lovers? No matter their relation, this woman is magnificent. They're going to win this, and maybe then they'll get some answers about. But before Batman could finish that thought, the storm begins to creep in again. But those in the outside, the ones stuck in the storm, they are still attacking each other. The others see it too, but they seem determined to continue the fight. Their only chance is to end this now. The two quickly take out the remaining people as the storm closes in, until finally it's just them. They need to find a way out, except there isn't one. They're going to die. She knows it too. He really wishes that they could talk to each other. He wishes that he could remember who she is. He wishes they had more time, but they don't. And there's only this moment before the end. As Batman blinks, taking in the forest and running water, he tells himself that he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who he is, but apparently he planned for that. All across his equipment, he has scribbled notes. This has happened before. You have 22 minutes, along with various coordinates. What do these messages mean? How long has he been here? Well, if he is to believe that those messages are left by himself, for himself, it would seem that he is stuck in a time loop. Everything alive resets every 22 minutes. This may be some elaborate trap, but the notes are consistent with the evidence that he has. He can't speak, for one thing, and this thing says no one can. His armor is battle-scarred. Fits the note that the island is full of combatants. It seems that he has concluded that the people here are being manipulated just as much as he is. Just then, Batman hears a twig snap as one of the combatants runs up wielding what looks like a makeshift pickaxe. With a knee to the face, Batman knocks the man out, running off. If he is to believe these notes, he would have left himself a sanctuary, marked with a symbol, like this hut, with the same bat symbol on his chest. Batman steps inside to find the shack filled with even more writing, far more than he could read in the supposed 22 minutes. He picks up a piece of wood with the words, "The cat is a friend," carved into it with another set of coordinates. His past self is providing the dots. His current self needs to connect them. After setting the coordinates into the mask's lens, Batman leaves thinking to himself, who is the cat? Will I know who they are when I see them? As he comes up across a hill, he sees a group of people fighting, one of which is a giant cat. Is this the one the note was talking about? As the giant cat slams someone into the ground, he realizes that it can't be. He scans the group again to see another woman who looks different from the rest, but she's wearing a cat mask. Batman isn't sure how, but he knows she's the one. Maybe they can work together. Maybe they can take out. But as Batman stops the attacker focused on the cat lashes out with a whip. She attacks again, but how is he supposed to communicate with her? What is that roaring sound? The two stop fighting for a moment as a swirling purple storm closes in, and Batman thinks to himself that it's been about 20 minutes. He'll have to act fast. He quickly scratches into his metal bat blade. The bat is a friend and hands it to her. She hesitates but takes it, just before everything turns black. As he wakes back up, he steps out of his hut, asking himself, who is the cat? How does? And that's when one of his bat blades is thrown into the wooden frame of the shack, and the cat stares at him. She must know it too. They're both wary, but they have something in common. They don't like being trapped. So they put aside the mistrust and they make a plan. To escape this place, they must first understand this place, to explore it. The island seems isolated, no other land in reach, and if they go too far, they're going to hit a storm, far sooner than necessary. The note to themselves says that they'll reset if they're consumed by the storm, and they have no reason to think that this note isn't true. But still, it's good to not be alone at a moment like this. After each reset, Bat and Cat explore a little more of the island, leaving themselves just a little more information each time. And judging by how much is written down, they must have been working together for a long time. Their memories reset, but maybe feelings remain? Before Batman could even give it a thought, the cat is shot from behind. Batman watches the light fade from his partner's eyes and he tells himself, "It's okay, she'll be back next cycle. It doesn't mean I can't take out the one responsible though. Maybe we do reset after killing each other, but right now it doesn't matter. I just need to make them hurt." He fights and fights, not even caring that the storm is coming to claim him. And with the next awakening, the two continue to look for something to give them any indication of what is going on when Batman spots another woman who seems out of place. She has white skin, blonde hair with blue and red highlights. Something about her is familiar. Catwoman looks, and guessing from her reaction, she too has a connection to this Harlequin. Do the three of them know each other? However, it'll be hard to communicate with her since she seems to be embracing this whole song and dance. They don't have much time left. Gotta leave her a note and hope it works. So Batman jumps down holding his Batblade with the words, "This is a trap, help us find a way out." To which the Harlequin headbutts him and kicks him into the storm. Forget Harlequin. The storm is the key. Gotta remind. Soon, Batman stops going out and fighting and just focuses on the storm, its movements, where it goes. Each time the eye shrinks as time goes on, and it ends up in a different location each time. In a place where every non-living thing remains constant. The storm changes, its center changes. That's significant. Based on the numbers, this time it should be right where they're at now. As Catwoman looks around for something, they take the analyzer and they set it on the ground. It's delicate, easily damaged, and more importantly, not native to this place, but if the device is still here, still intact, that would be huge. Gotta leave a note so that the next time around. The next reset, Bat and Cat fight their way to the same location and they find their device. That means that the epicenter is special, some sort of safe zone. The storm never fully covers it. The question is what happens to a person or people if they're at the center of the storm when it closes up. Only one way to find out. If they can reach this cycle's epicenter in time. The two reach the destination and they wait, letting the storm come in, and nothing happens. If Batman is to believe his note, standing in the epicenter didn't work. The analyzer was spared, but they weren't. Hypothesis. The safe zone isn't big enough for two people. Just for one. It has to be. This time, Batman steps into the storm, letting the Catwoman remain. He can feel his body being ripped apart, but he has to remain outside. Even if they don't retain their memories, clearly she has emotions towards him. Just then, something begins to happen and a light begins to shimmer around her. Faint, weak, it can only mean one thing. And with the last minute, Batman quickly scratches into his gauntlet, one left. The next cycle, the two fight their way to the storm center, but this time the Batman hands the Catwoman a knife and holds it to his chest. She stares for a moment, but Batman nods. She leans in, kissing him, stabbing him in the chest. The shimmering returns, but this time more powerful, more bright, and as Batman blinks, taking in the forest and the running water, he tells himself that he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who he is, but he feels like there's something he has to remember. What was, at that moment, a man with a makeshift pickaxe attacks and Batman dodges, stating, "It doesn't matter now. I have other things to worry about." Inter-office memo from Loop Observation to PsyOps. Subject: I'm worried about the Batman. Since Asset Catwoman escaped the loop, Asset Batman has displayed a single-minded determination to follow her, bordering on mania. Needless to say, he does not remember Catwoman. His memory, like all other assets, is lost when the storm resets with the conclusion of each loop. Granted, this subject has left himself numerous notes to remind him of the past events, but the obsessive manner in which he constantly improves himself in order to dispatch opponents is quickly suggesting far more than abstract, dispassionate following of a plan. It feels personal. While I realize it's impossible to wipe a subject's emotional memory as decisively as their conscious memory, perhaps your department can adjust the settings. I do realize that Asset Batman is a special case, and you'll be reluctant to do anything that might dull his edge, or otherwise interfere with our agenda for him. However, the degree to which he keeps improving is becoming alarming. He has nearly escaped in his last 3 attempts. My department's ability to slow him down is rapidly diminishing. If you can't assist in the area of memory manipulation, please join me in urging acquisitions to approve my recommendation to them in an expedited manner. Inter-office memo from Loop Observation to acquisitions. Thank you. I'm ready to express my appreciation for moving so fast. As I mentioned in my last memo, the situation with the asset Batman is quickly becoming untenable, but I think your quick action has righted the ship. I can admit that I've harbored some doubts that this would work. Asset Batman had knocked out everyone and everything that we had thrown at him. Even with those unique and unparalleled skill sets, I was initially afraid that that might be the case here as well. But the results are speaking for themselves. Early indications are that we're getting exactly what we need from asset Snake Eyes. These two are perfectly matched. Both use a staggering mix of fighting styles that I've never seen before, and these particular combinations. Both are relentless, skilled, and calm in the face of combat, and I'll say it, brilliant. If they were given time, these two would definitely figure everything out. Luckily, every 22 minutes in the storm wipes the slate clean and they start all over again, battling each other, neither remembering the other. Inter-office memo. Loop observation to archives. Has this ever happened? Something is occurring in relation to the encounters between asset Batman and asset Snake Eyes, and I've never witnessed it before. You've seen the unofficial highlight reels that I've been sending, just for entertainment. Sometimes these two fight for the entire length of the loop, doing things that would exhaust assets from most any other origin point, including their own. I know we're watching something special and you know it. But something interesting is happening. The other assets, they've all stopped fighting. They are watching Batman versus Snake Eyes. Interoffice memo, loop observation to PsyOps, emotional retention. As we discussed, while the asset's memories are wiped at the end of each loop, we know that emotions carry over. I'm wondering, is respect an emotion? Could it stick? This is not my area of expertise, please advise. Interoffice memo, loop observation to acquisitions. Concerns. The more I watch assets Batman and Snake Eyes, the more I worry. I hope I'm just being paranoid. Frankly, I'm hoping you'll tell me as much. We're aware that assets often band together for the sake of convenience, but these alliances are ethereal. When it comes to the last man standing at the end of the loop, they know that there can only be one, and they have no reason to care what happens to the others. Which is why I want to confirm with you that there's never been an example of a being from different origin points uniting in a significant duration. Message deleted. Inter-office memo. Loop observation to archives. Hand signals, urgent. I'm sending you still shots of hand signals that the two assets, Batman and Snake Eyes, are making to each other. I understand sign languages from several source worlds, but not this one. Can you translate? Message deleted. Inter-office memo. Loop observation, all senior partners. Subject, assets, Batman and Snake Eyes. Summary evaluation. The tactic of pitting assets, Snake Eyes against asset, Batman was successful, relatively speaking, despite buying us less time than expected. However, with unpredictable beings like this, it's probably safe to say that the unexpected is exactly what we should have expected. Inter-office memo. Loop observation to extra loop observation. Be advised. Asset Batman is inbound. You are welcome to contact me with questions and concerns. One general recommendation, if anything strikes you as noteworthy, don't hesitate to share it with the rest of us immediately. Batman and Snake Eyes have concluded their battle, and they have figured out how to communicate. And with a final salute, Snake Eyes says goodbye to Batman as he finally escapes the loop. He finally escapes Fortnite, but as he finds himself at the beginning of the next loop, he hears something that he isn't supposed to hear. A voice. He looks back to see a masked man holding a gun to a woman's head, and the man tells him, "No sudden movements." However, Batman doesn't fully realize just who this man is yet, because it's Deathstroke, who has Catwoman captive. As the world stood still, the Bat quietly watched as a masked man he'd never seen before held a gun to the head of the woman he'd never seen before. He still didn't have his memories as they hadn't returned yet, and the masked man tells the Bat to drop the weapon and put his hands on his head. But the woman says that he is such an idiot. Threatening her won't help. The Bat doesn't remember who she is. The Bat hears the words that they are speaking, which should mean that he escaped the storm. But the woman is right. He doesn't know who she is. He doesn't know who either of them are. Though, there's something about her. He does know her. He knows for a fact he doesn't want her hurt. He tosses his pick, and he finally speaks. All right, just let her go. But the Catwoman smiles, motioning with her hand, signaling for him to do something. At that moment, the cat throws her arm back, pushing the masked man away. And a second later, Batman throws one of his bat-shaped blades, disarming the masked man. The Catwoman attacks the masked man, asking, "Does this seem familiar? Because we used to fight together. A lot." After getting kicked in the head, the masked man blasts at the ground, telling them both to wait. This isn't necessary. I'm not your enemy. Catwoman uses her whip to take the blaster, telling him that the gun that he just had to her head really convinced her that he's not a bad guy. The masked man says, fine. If that's the way it has to be, I surrender. She takes his sword and he goes on. I was just protecting myself. People usually come out of that loop hostile. Batman asks, loop? The masked man says that they have been trapped in a time loop that resets every 22 minutes, along with their memory. They've escaped, but there's an adjustment to it. Catwoman then says that he isn't lying. She came out a few days ago and went into hiding, trying to get a lay of the land. And there's something else that they should warn him about. Before Batman could even ask, he feels a splitting pain in his head as suddenly a flood of memories begin to pour in. Catwoman says that it took a bit longer for her, but those are his memories of every loop that he's experienced all at once. It's a lot. Now he knows what she means by they've fought before. Batman turns to her. I remember coming here, but nothing before that. The masked man tells him, no, those memories don't come back. If we have any hope of getting off of this island, we're going to have to work together. Me and the cat earned each other's trust, fighting together, dying together. You haven't earned a goddamn thing. In fact, you're not even a part of my memories. The masked man tells him, I got out a few weeks ago, pure luck really, however, I wasn't the only one. At that moment, a hook knocks the whip out of Cat's hand as a group of people surround them. The masked man goes on telling them, I didn't want to overwhelm you, but all of us have gone through this and we've all come to the same conclusion. Some powerful being brought us all here, but if there's a way in, there's gotta be a way out. The only way we're gonna find it is by working together. A woman in the surrounding group says that those beings stand in their way of getting home, then they have to beat them. Their names are Bat and Cat, right? We call the one with one eye here Deathstroke. And as you can see by his fighting, you can imagine why. The others call me Raider. I've been here the longest, almost 4 years. But the others kinda have names associated with how they look. There's Bandolette, Bonehead, and Magnus. Bat stops Raider for a moment asking, 4 years. If that's the case, you must have explored. What do you know? Raider tells him, well, let's start with the obvious. This island is the whole world. Go out far enough by air or water and there's nothing, a void. And the gravity and atmosphere vanish. If you have tried going into the void to figure out what must be through the other side of it, in a way, there is a way out, just not one that you'd want. There's also been what one can describe as events, more like natural disasters, but at least some were definitely not natural. One was a device clearly made by intelligent beings, intelligent and with vast resources. It appeared on a small island in the lake. It was just there one day. We tried to get close, but the security was too tight. Then something happened. This device appeared and then a plume of pure energy, and now there's a tower there. There's also other things that we have found. Signs of something. There's a painting on a slab of stone showing what looks like people being taken from elsewhere and placed here by godlike beings. Batman looks over at the people, stating that if they're coming from different portals, then they are presumably coming from different locations. Some of them could have come from the same place, but based on technology and biology, some clearly. A fish-like man says, no offense, but you're really not the world's greatest detective, are you? We already knew that. As for what they call me, I'm Fish Stick. I'm not sure yet if I should be offended by it, but this whole place offends me, so... Batman asks, if that's the case, can you breathe in water, or at least survive in it? And Fish Stick tells him, again, not exactly a genius, huh? Of course I can. Batman looks over at the others and says, the name that stuck for him was Voyager. And Bat says, okay, we need to get an aerial map as soon as possible. After that, we can divide it into sectors and search them. Anything noteworthy at all, report it. Bandolette tells him, hey, wait a minute, why are we listening to you? And Batman glares at her. Deathstroke says, that's good enough for me. Later, as the group begins to break off into pairs, Bat takes Cat, and once alone he tells her that they may not know where they come from, but clearly they're from the same place. The connection between them from the moment they got here is undeniable. Catwoman tells him, sure, but what is it? Are they friends, enemies, co-workers, husband and wife? Batman tells her that he doesn't know, and it doesn't matter. What does is this. They know they can trust each other, and probably no one else can. We need each other to get through this, agreed? She leans in, telling him, yeah, it makes sense. Just don't expect her to slow down for him. After a few days of searching and collecting what information they could, Batman gathers everyone, stating that from what they've learned, things only come to this island one of two ways. One, through the ground, similar to what Raider called the events, but digging has yielded nothing useful, which means that leaves the hatches that they've found. The 3 of them that they have found, to their knowledge, cannot be opened. Magnus says, I smite them often for exercise and nothing dents them. They're impervious to all forces and weapons. There are no latches, locks, or means to enter a code. They give us nothing. Batman says, not entirely. Whoever controls this place seems unlikely to have designed the hatches to only open from one side. The puppet masters wouldn't take a chance of getting trapped here. The device I have can analyze and replicate energy frequencies. If we theorize that the hatches are designed to open for whoever they are, and not us, there's something about them that they recognize. So our next step is to collect energy traces from various locations, like the places the pylons rose from, the tower, fragments of the meteor, anything that may have come from them. And then we'll try to reach a particular energy signature on the hatch. Even if it takes dozens, hundreds, or even thousands, there is that one chance that one of them is the key. So after a few days and collecting all that they could, Batman tries opening one of the hatches, and to his surprise, it opens. Bandolette yells, "That's unbelievable, you did it! Let's hurry and..." But Batman stops her. No, we don't know what we're dealing with. Fishstick will search underwater for any security measure that may have been activated. And while he searches the water, the rest of us will carefully explore the... But as soon as they step into the underground ruins, 2 giant rock golems appear and begin to attack. While everyone tries to hold the golems back, Batman shouts, "We're just chipping away at them! Aim for the glowing ruins! Target those!" Raider begins to shoot at them, stating that if this doesn't work, she's going to come back and haunt him. As Raider finally breaks through one, the golems fall over and Bonehead says, "Not bad." And Kat says that she sees lights coming from up ahead. As the group moves forward, they find an armory of sorts, stocked with weapons, tools, and supplies similar to what is found throughout the island. Raider looks around, stating that this place looks pretty beat up. Maybe the energy plume? Could be whoever ran things here evacuated. Deathstroke marches on, telling them that they need to go deeper. If whoever was here got out somehow, maybe we can. And Batman tells everyone, all right, there are 4 doors, so we'll break into 4 teams of 2. Meet back in 3 hours for preliminary reports. If you encounter any hostiles, make as much noise as possible so that we come looking. Everyone splits off into groups and Bat and Cat take one, but after 40 minutes of searching, they find nothing but a dead end. They begin to head back when Batman suddenly hears something scratching in the distance. He runs over to a pile of rubble, stating that it came from here, and when he removes the rocks, he finds Fishstick coughing and nearly crushed. Batman tells Cat to get some water and then asks Fishstick who did this. He says that he didn't see them, but there's no point in helping him. He found something on the seabed. He was bringing it to them. Batman takes out a small device that Fishstick holds up, telling him, "It's heavily rusted, non-functional. But if there's anything left in the storage battery..." Yes, energies are similar to those in the epicenter of the storm. This device might be able to create a field of that energy, which means, in theory, it could allow someone to access the island without being caught in the loop. And they would keep their memories intact. Batman rushes over to the supply center, taking apart one of the stations, stating that the technology in the device resembles the technology here. They were made by the same people. But all indications are that the people here fled further into the facility. Why would someone go inside the hatch and close it and then discard the device unless that's not what happened at all? Fishstick coughs, telling him, "It would mean that someone is lying. They didn't escape the loop. They were never in it. They remember everything. One of us is working for..." But before he could finish, Fishstick draws his last breath. And Batman says, "That would mean one of us is working for them." The sound of gunfire rings out in the tunnels beneath the Fortnite island as the guards push their way through, cornering the recently memory-recovered contestants trying to escape the loop. While huddled behind cover, Raider asks, "Who the hell are these guys anyway?" And Deathstroke asks her, "Doesn't matter. They're shooting at us. We have to shoot back." Bandolette runs out to the other side of the hallway, firing her rifle, stating that they need to do something or these guards are just gonna call in reinforcements. At that moment, a smoke grenade is thrown past Bandolette, and a voice tells her reinforcements have arrived, just not the ones that they were expecting. Batman and Catwoman quickly charge in, taking out the guards, giving everyone a bit of cover. But Batman tells everyone not to let their guard down. These soldiers have pretty impressive hand-to-hand combat skills. Magnus runs in, slamming the blade of his axe through one of the guards as Batman yells, "No! No killing!" And Magnus asks him why. So Batman explains, because that's murder now. They're outside of the loop. Besides, some of these guards are captives from the loop. I fought this person specifically before. There's no telling if these people are fully aware of what's going on or not, but their presence here is alarming. The reactions that these guards had to fighting one another, it's like they're synced together, fighting for years. Deathstroke looks at him. There's a chance that these people are clones, or even parallel universe duplicates. If you're gonna sit and speculate, you might as well do it on the move. These guys are too unconscious to tell us squat. Bonehead looks around, telling them that it looks like every other path was a dead end, and they've all managed to get back together. But where's Fishstick? Batman sadly looks at the group. Fishstick's dead. From his wounds, it was some sort of energy beam. The doors open up to the next area, and everyone steps in to what looks like a giant conference room, with Catwoman asking if it's a war room. No one sits around the table like that to plan parties. Batman looks at some of the objects left over in the broken and vacant room, stating that some of these items, I've seen them before. This writing is familiar. Something about the place from which all reality sprang. They call it the 0 Point. This speaks of a grand plan to bring order to everything. It doesn't seem like they created it, but whoever these people are, they're using it. Deathstroke then says that they need to keep moving. If the guards come in, it'll be a killing field. Catwoman agrees, because this place feels wrong. But not long after, they move into the next set of halls. The guards appear on both ends, cornering the group in one of the corridors. While avoiding being shot, Deathstroke says that he has an idea. Take out those liquid nitrogen capsules. Batman begins to ask, what? And then he stops himself, stating, I see what you mean. Batman reaches into one of his pouches, grabbing a handful of liquid nitrogen capsules, throwing them down one hallway, freezing some of the support beams. Deathstroke then uses his energy staff, blasting it, bringing down the ceiling, ultimately blocking their path. Catwoman scoffs, telling him they just brought down the house. They do realize that there's no escape if both sides are down, right? Batman tells her, it's fine. We're gonna take out these guards the old-fashioned way. And after taking down the next set of guards, Bandolette says that she is glad that they managed to survive, but where are they supposed to go with the exit blocked? Batman begins to walk forward, saying that the collapsed way was the way back. If there's no way out, it's ahead of them. As the next set of doors open, a purple glow illuminates the area, and everyone asks, what is it? Batman looks at everyone and tells them that the stone tower is the 0 Point. We need to be careful and look for. But Voyager yells, no, this is it, I can sense it! Once I shatter the barrier, I can go anywhere, do anything, voyage, for all eternity! Batman shouts for him to stop, but Voyager asks, wait, no, never again, and he slams his pick into the stone. The 0 Point sparks, lashing out all of the different realities, ripping Voyager's body apart, until each piece finally disappears. Raider asks what happened, and Batman scans it. The uncontrolled omniversal energy absorbed him. I have a theory that the 0 Point cycles through countless realities per second. And Deathstroke chimes in. Voyager was scattered into a dozen pieces, each sent to a random universe. Catwoman begins to look at the controls, stating that they need to be able to figure out how to use these terminals. But with whatever shook up this place, they don't seem like they're getting any power. Deathstroke then says that it looks like all of this equipment drew power from the 0 Point itself, but that barrier seems to have severed the connection. After a few hours of rigging things together, Batman stands in front of a mirrored panel. Alright, we should be able to activate this panel with the right power source. I suspect that the panels normally created a vibrational energy attuned to whatever specific reality these people wanted to access to. But we have an alternate source. Ourselves. If we align the panel with the multiversal energy contained within one of us, it should open up a pathway to that individual's world. Theoretically, there's only one way to find out. Raider steps up, stating that she'll be first. She was here the longest, and they couldn't stop her if they wanted. She picks up the connecting cable, and Batman tells Deathstroke to power up the staff. Once the panel is charged, a beam shoots out of it, creating a ball of energy that begins to shake the room. Raider looks up and sees images. That's my home! She begins to run forward, but Catwoman tells her to wait. They saw what happened to Voyager. But Raider says that this is different. She can feel it. She can finally go home. And she leaps through the portal, disappearing. Bandolette asks if she made it, and Deathstroke tells them, she did make it. We did it. Batman tells him, "You don't need us anymore. Or should it be, your masters don't need us anymore, you traitor." Deathstroke looks right at him. "What the hell are you talking about?" And Batman stares him stone cold in the eyes. "You're the one who killed Fishstick. Fishstick found a discarded device that let him exist on the island without losing his memory. Something only you would have. It was yours. You didn't want Fishstick showing it to anyone. And his burns are consistent with that staff." Deathstroke says, "Or it could have been one of the guard's energy weapons." Batman tells him, "That's true, but you remember the liquid nitrogen capsules. Those had not been revealed since I've been here, which would mean that we both share the same homeworld, don't we, Deathstroke?" Deathstroke sighs, grabbing his staff. "Okay, what the hell? Anyone who sides with me, I'll get you home. Don't, and you'll die here." Magnus yells, "I think not, traitor!" And Deathstroke turns, quickly charging and knocking Magnus out. Catwoman gets ready to help, but Bandolette says, "Nope, I'm the one with the guy who's got the pull with the people in charge." While Deathstroke is fighting off Batman and Bonehead, he yells, "How stupid are you? This isn't necessary!" Batman deflects the sword swing from Deathstroke. "If that's true, that would mean that we need each other. But if we're declaring a truce, I'm the one calling the shots." Deathstroke stops fighting. "Fine, you win!" And Bandolette says, "Really? You get a girl all fired up and you leave her hanging. Typical." After Deathstroke is secured, everyone continues activating the machine, letting everyone go in one by one, until finally there is only Batman, Catwoman, and Deathstroke. Batman tells him, "Okay, staff at full power. Let's get Deathstroke into position so we can add his omniversal energy and we can get back." But Deathstroke stops him. "Wait, hear me out. What if we don't?" A knife springs out of Deathstroke's boot and he cuts the rope holding him, jumping back to his feet, starting to run towards the portal. Batman begins to yell, "What are you doing? Don't be a fool! We need each other to get back." And Deathstroke stops to pull out a small device. "Nope, you need me. I don't need you." And now that the others are out of the way, just one last speed bump to get over. Catwoman asks him, "What is that, a weapon?" And Deathstroke runs back towards the portal. "No, it's more like a compass that can guide me home without you." Catwoman throws the tethered spear into the portal, but Deathstroke knocks it away, telling her, "It's not all bad, though. Sure, you're stuck in a crazy alien dimension forever, but at least you'll have each other." Deathstroke's voice begins to fade as his body disappears, leaving Batman and Catwoman alone with the 0 point closed and no way to get back home. As the portal begins to shut down, Batman finally managed to process what just happened. Deathstroke trapped them at the 0 point. There isn't enough power between him and Cat to power up the panel and get them back home. Deathstroke played them like amateurs, and he let it happen. Cat pulls out her whip, telling him that he's always worrying about the other, but don't give up yet. She may have missed grabbing him, but she did manage to snag his gadget, the one that synced the 0 point with their home. Batman takes the device, holding it up, but the 0 point only shows a portal going back to the loop, which doesn't help them at all. Except, maybe it does. Batman says that what they need is a third person who originates from their world. They thought that was Deathstroke, but they did run into someone else who felt familiar. Catwoman asks, "The woman dressed up like a playing card? I got the same feeling. But what happens if we go back in and we lose our memories in the battlefield?" Batman ties himself to Cat's whip, stating that he doubts whoever made this would allow that to happen. "But it's a risk. I'll go first. If I seem confused, pull me back." He takes a deep breath walking through and remembers everything just fine. He calls to Cat that there's no memory loss, but if something happens to them over time, they have to hurry. She asks how are they supposed to find this Harley Quinn, and Batman attaches the anchor on Cat's whip onto his grappling gun, stating, "Aerial reconnaissance, hold on." She wraps her arms around him, telling him anytime, and he fires the grappling hook, latching it onto the battle bus that brings all of the contestants in. The two scan the area dangling from it. It doesn't take long for them to find Harley Quinn as she is shooting and maiming everyone in sight. Batman tells Cat that they tried to reason with her before. "Pointless. Strike hard and fast." The two quickly jump in, but the bleach-skinned woman seemingly dances around their hits. As Catwoman cracks her whip with one arm, Batman kicks the gun out of the other. She pulls on the whip, sending the woman to the ground, with Bat telling her that they need to figure out how to make her understand if they want her to get us back home. Harley Quinn sits up yelling, "Maybe you two are just stupid enough to figure out that I don't want to go home!" Catwoman stares for a moment and asks, "She can talk? How?" Harley tells them, "Duh, because I'm probably amazing like this island until you came back and won't shut up." Bat tells her that they need to go home, but it'll take the 3 of them, and their chances of that are rapidly diminishing. Harley thinks about it. Oh, now I get it. You don't freaking listen! She sweeps Batman's feet out from underneath him and begins to shoot, yelling, I love it here! We get to fight and dress up and die and get up and do it all over again and look awesome doing it! The fighting, the flossing, the total bonkers craziness of the whole island. These are my people and I'm staying! As Harley jumps in to hit Batman with her unicorn pick, Batman spins back, punching her in the face, finally knocking her out. Batman looks at the woman. Our world must be very strange. I'd assumed she lost her memory too, but if she's in her right mind and wants to stay. But before he could go on, something whizzes by his face, and when he looks over, he sees a metal blade, very similar to the ones that he uses. He quickly turns back to see another version of himself and Cat, along with another wave of contestants. Cat lunges at her counterpart, asking, who the hell are these guys? And Bat fights, duplicates. That explains why we saw beings outside of the loop who are still in the loop. Seems the island creates a snapshot of those who escape. Cat tells him, sure, you can check out, but you can never really leave. Well, these two are as good as we are, and we're running out of time. Batman throws a flashbang, blinding everyone, telling Cat to open up the portal and get them out of here. The two stumble in with Harley, and they begin to get the machine back up and running. Once the 0 point locks onto their original point of origin, Batman throws an explosive batarang into the control panel. This'll make sure that we seal it from this side. He then goes and picks up Harley, but Catwoman tells him to wait. He looks at her and she says, maybe they should stay. Before Batman has a chance to respond, the two are kicked as Harley launches herself up, yelling, that's what she said! By she, I mean me. You can talk amongst yourselves, but I'm missing out on all the sweet, sweet carnage! Catwoman gets ready to take off after her, but Batman stops her, telling her, we did all of this to get back home. What's changed? Catwoman tells him, she's scared. Yeah, this place is strange, but we know how it works now. We've got autonomy, freedom. We've got each other. You saw those snapshot versions of us? We could be happy here. Batman asks, you think that you wouldn't be happy back home? And Catwoman tells him, no, I don't know. Maybe we're enemies there, or strangers, or married to other people. When I first met you, I figured you'd just be another way to survive, to escape the loop, but now I don't want to lose what we have. Batman looks away. I know what you mean. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have similar thoughts. But I have a feeling that people are counting on me on the other side, that this dimensional breach is dangerous and could happen again. I have to stop it. Catwoman asks, why you? Why do you have to go back? I don't know. It just feels like it's who I am. A few moments later, she takes his hand. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's go. The two begin to run, jumping through the portal just in time for the batarang on the other side to explode and shut the portal down. As they land, Kat says that it looks like it worked. But if this is home, why doesn't she remember? Just then, a flood of memories begin to pour into their minds and they just stare at each other. And after a few moments, Batman looks at her. Selina. And Catwoman tells him, no, I told you. We should have stayed. She swings away and Batman returns to the GCPD asking where's Deathstroke. But Jim tells him Gone escaped. But it doesn't matter now, they won. He did the important thing and closed that crack and no one got hurt. Batman doesn't respond for a moment and then says that he's not sure they won at all. Deathstroke couldn't have pulled this off without a backer, someone from this world. It had to be someone wealthy, powerful, and influential. And the likely candidates don't put his mind at ease. Meanwhile, over in a penthouse in Metropolis, Deathstroke says that the crack in Gotham is closed, but it doesn't matter. The anchor device that he planted at the 0 point is coming in strong, which means Lex Luthor sits up in his chair. It means that the tethering worked. We have the ability to return to the 0 point and make use of that power. Deathstroke tells him, exactly. And I gotta say, I had my doubts even Batman could do what we needed him to, but it worked perfectly. Another twisted voice begins to laugh. Don't give him too much credit. It's not hard to predict what Batman will do when you are Batman. The Batman who laughs steps out, stating that they needed the world's greatest detective to unlock the secrets of this island. He needed an emotional engine to drive him, Catwoman. He knows a few things about other realities as well. They might say that all of this is right in his wheelhouse. Lex raises a glass. We delivered as agreed, reached to the 0 point, planted the anchor device so that we could return there. I'd say that the imagined order got everything it wanted, or do you prefer they? Dr. Sloan steps out. Please, Mr. Luthor, they is what the island dwellers call him. I think that we're a little more civilized here. And yes, you've delivered precisely what you promised. Please accept my compliments. Lex tells her, well, if that's the case, I'd say it's time for you to keep up your end of the bargain. She smiles, looking out the window. We've already begun. And just above the Daily Planet, another tear begins to form, similar to what happened in Gotham. As a giant portal looms over Metropolis, Batman tells Superman that he'll be there as soon as he can. Do not let anyone cross into the rift! Superman knocks Bizarro away, telling him, easy for you to say. Batman tells the rest of the League that it is critical that they don't let anyone get close. The gravitational pull will suck them in, and on the other side, the individuals inside Fortnite Island, they will lose their memory, their speech, and more than likely their metahuman powers. He jumps into the Batwing, racing out of the Batcave. It sounds like you have more troops on their way. I'm gonna take a guess who's leading them. Over in Metropolis, Lex Luthor calls out that they need to swarm one spot. They don't need to beat them. We just have to get past them into the rift. Flash punches Reverse Flash. Lex isn't the only one. The other ringleader is someone who should be dead. But clearly, the Batman who laughs considers the laws of nature optional. I'll be there as soon as I can. I'm picking up readings that read like the 0 point. Even though the rift here closed in Gotham, there are trace energies. I want to see how they link. Meanwhile, over in Gotham Harbor, a man begins to climb out of the water, asking, where am I? I need to get back to the point. But how did I end up here? As he flies out of the water, Batman sees him. You're gonna tell me who you are, how you got here, and what you're doing in my city. My name is Foundation, and I have no time for you or this filthy city. At that moment, Foundation feels a pull at his leg as a batarang wraps around it. Really? My propulsion systems are more. But that's when Foundation is slammed into the ground as the Batmobile takes off, dragging him across the dock. Shall we start again? Foundation gets back up, punching Batman. Let's finish it quickly. Batman then shorts out the Foundation's advanced suit with electrically charged batarangs, but Foundation then rips it off, groaning. Batman attacks him, telling him, you might feel safe and protected in that suit, but it's built like a human. It has weaknesses and a source of power. He slaps an explosion to Foundation's back and then tackles it into the wall. As the smoke begins to go off, Batman begins to rip and tear at the suit, claiming Foundation is one of the individuals that trapped him on the island. But Batman continues to explain that previously he got to the 0 point, and if he can get off that island, others can. But Foundation stops him. You know about the 0 point. You've been there. Foundation continues, realizing that Batman is an ally. I'm not with the organization that controls the island. They are called the IO, the Imagined Order, and it's safe to say that we're enemies. Batman says an old phrase that all of us know and love. The enemies of our enemies are our allies. So Batman begins to explain what happened to him on Fortnite Island, and Foundation tells him, I'm a part of a group known as the Seven. Our goal is to stop the Imagined Order, liberate the 0 point, and destroy the loop. What the Imagined Order is doing to the 0 point isn't natural. They're not just messing with the lives of countless sentient beings, they are threatening the balance of the Omniverse itself, all in their pursuit of knowledge and power. In the beginning, there was nothing, and then a burst of pure creation. The 0 point sprang into being. Countless realities originated from the 0 point, each with its own universe, and each with its own multiverse. Now, normally these realities would not intersect, but the Imagined Order has been manipulating the 0 point for a long time. They used it to tamper with the realities, and even travel to and from them. Mostly that is done through what they call a pure portal originating from the 0 point itself, which remains linked to all realities. Opening up a sideways rift, one between two distinct realities, these have the ability to heal naturally, which takes time, or to be closed from both sides at once. And that is what we are dealing with in Metropolis. As they both arrive, Batman asks why don't they use the pure portal instead of the rift, and Foundation says that he was cut off from the 0 point when it formed a spire around it. A sideways rift is their only option. Most of the Order fled the island, but this must be their attempt to regain control. Batman questions Foundation's mission, explaining that isn't him crossing over going to erase his memories, but Foundation explains that he'll have until the next loop, and his suit should protect him. Foundation takes out a small device, handing it to Batman, telling him, when the time is right, you will fire this when I start to close my side. We will close both sides of the rift and end this. At that moment, a giant arm reaches up, grabbing the Batwing, and Foundation asks, what in the 17 seas is that? Batman goes on explaining that it is chemo and he's made of toxic waste. Do not pierce his shell! Foundation finds him interesting, but he immediately grabs chemo, flying him up into the atmosphere, pushing him away to drift slowly into space. As Foundation returns, he finds himself struck by an energy blast. Lex approaches him. You're new. Join me and get paid or die. Decide fast, I'm a busy man. Foundation rockets back, punching him. This is my answer! As he punches, he notices Lex's suit fully encapsulates him, and then uses his suit's powers, chopping into the helm, cracking it. Lex pulls away as Foundation tells him, you counted on your armor protecting you from the effects of the loop, but it doesn't look like it'll help you now. Batman calls out that the perimeter is being pushed closer to the rift, and he can only guess who is on the other side. We have to do this fast! The Batwing descends, Batman calling out that he'll need help getting into position. So Foundation swings back, grabbing Batman, flying him through the horde of enemies after them. And as they get close, Batman chuckles as his form shifts, and the Batman who laughs swings his way back into Foundation. Thanks for the ride! And he jumps off, aiming straight for the rift. The real Batman radios in. My comms are jammed! That's not me! Foundation radios back. I was tricked, and now I and the other Batmen are getting pulled into the rift. Just focus on the task and wait for my signal. As Foundation passes through, both Foundation and the Batman who laughs slam into the ground, with Batman radioing in broken up. Are you okay? Standing by for your signal. Foundation gets up, staggering. I need a moment to calibrate. The storm is closing in but the Batman who laughs jumps out of the crater, swinging his chains, cracking Foundation in the side of the head, and the two begin to battle right there. The Batman who laughs throws out a laugh as he grabs Foundation by the head, slamming his spiked visor into the Foundation's helmet, cracking it. He stumbles back as his suit tells him that his armor integrity is compromised. Self-repair initiated. You're just going to be another shell! Your story gone, poof! It'll be your greatest fear. But Foundation screams, punching him. This already is my greatest fear. I live it every day, knowing the 0 point is in the hands of Gino. I'll be damned if the likes of you deny me a chance of putting it right. As the Batman who laughs falls, the suit tells him that in 7 seconds the loop is going to reset. And he shouts over the comms to Batman on the side of DC's universe, trigger it now! Batman pulls the trigger, and just like that, the rift shuts. On the other side, the storm comes in and it resets everything. As the Foundation looks around, checking on himself. That was close. Too close. But how is the Batman? No. Have to stay focused. Have to find Jones. Determine how much of the island the Order has retaken. But as Foundation leaves, there's a sudden shift as the Batman who laughs jumps down, looking at his surroundings. Well, that worked better than I planned. My visor protected me from the loop. I wonder if it made a snapshot of me, though. Now, let's go have some fun. In Madripoor, Wolverine, under the guise of his alter ego Patch, grabs a drink in a dingy bar to try and get some time to himself. But his night is disturbed by the arrival of Spider-Man. Before Spider-Man can even ask anything, Wolverine already tells him, no to whatever crap you're fixing to rope me into. Suddenly, another man appears and begins to order a drink, and then a woman after him. The woman turns and asks what is he staring at. Wolverine says, the only reason I might even actually listen to Spider-Man's pitch. What's going on with you? The woman introduces herself as the Imagined. This man beside her is Agent Jones. They are in need of his help. She believes that Spider-Man here can explain the situation. Spider-Man orders his Fresca and tells him, well, you might have heard how a chunk of Manhattan, including the Daily Bugle and even me, accidentally disappeared. Well, we didn't just go to a different universe, Wolverine. This was the place where every reality ever came from. The source of that really big bang is a ball of energy called the 0 point. For a long time, the 0 Point's been controlled by this evil sciencey group known as the Imagined Order. They do evil sciencey stuff, snatch people from different realities, and they make them fight each other. One time they grabbed Thor, Iron Man, and even me. In any case, things are way worse now. The Imagined Order decided to plug the hole and start over, wipe out the island and everyone on it. Trying to stop them is a group called the Seven. Except there are really only 6 of them now? That's a whole other story. And our redhead here, well, she's one of the 7. Leading this group is a giant guy known as the Foundation. Think of him like if Tony Stark was Nick Fury in the body of the Hulk. Foundation has been leading the charge with a group of loopers, people who have been kidnapped but regained themselves and wanted to fight back. Inside the loop, if you die, you just come back to life and fight more. Outside of the loop, it's a little more permanent. And after another fruitless assault on a compound, the 7 began to formulate a plan, one that could finally let us be the ones to turn the tides. The Lost 7 member, Paradigm, she switched sides and ended up building a giant mech to fight against a giant creature. She managed to defeat the monster, but shortly after rocketed into the sky to never be seen again. The remaining 7 learned that Paradigm ended up crash landing on the moon orbiting the island. But it's mostly just ice and more monsters. Very hostile environment with deadly chills and hurricane force winds. The 7 are kind of at a loss as to what to do, Wolverine. And that's when your pal Spider-Man offered to help. You see, if I could just get Thor, Storm, and a bunch of the heavy hitters, we could turn the battle into 7's favor. But there's also one more thing that I was tasked with. Galactus was among the many heroes who had been taken to this place, and of course he tried to devour the 0 point. Even though he was driven away, he dislodged a small fragment from it, and when Galactus was sent back to his reality, well, that fragment followed with him. During Paradigm's battle with the monster, it recharged the mecha, which grasped the 0 point itself. If we had that fragment, we could possibly recharge her mech in seconds instead of months. We did have a device that would allow us to jump from one reality to the next, and then back again, but it only has 2 charges left. So coming here and going back is going to leave us stranded there, especially with that many people I gotta bring back. Jones here used to work for the Imagined Order, and after their attack could lead us directly to the 0 point, which will allow us to travel a bit more freely back and forth between realities. But we were attacked just before we could use it by a woman known as Sloane and a man known as Gunner. The Foundation held their attacks back while Jones set the controls to allow them to come back safely. And once the portal opened, we all jumped through. All but Foundation. I've already informed the Avengers and we're putting together a team, but I'm staying here with Jones and the Imagined to find the fragment. Does any of this make sense to you, Logan? Agent Jones tells him, dude, I can't even follow what's going on and I was there. Anyway, Mr. Wolverine, to really understand this, we're gonna have to go back to the beginning of all creation. Imagined hangs herself on Wolverine's shoulder, asking, it'll be the best fight you've ever had. And Wolverine slams his drink down. I'm in, bub. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Doom watches the 4 from a cauldron, stating that the fools have been behaving as expected. I shall attend to this matter with ease. There is no need to concern yourself any further, Gino. Through the comms, Gino tells him that his assistance is greatly appreciated. A very, very select few were admitted to the inner circle. But in all of the Omniverse, he was the easiest choice. Welcome. You are already a valued addition to the Imagined Order, Dr. Von Doom. As the 7 and the Avengers clash against the Imagined Order's base of operations, there's another fight brewing between who is actually leading the charge. The Foundation or Iron Man? Foundation tells Iron Man to stand down. He is the one who gives the orders here. But Iron Man tells him that the last time that he was on this island, things went pretty well. So why not go with the proven winner? Captain Marvel flies by them, telling them both, how about I just go on ahead of both of you while you compare egos and find the objective? Iron Man tells him, fine. How about we just become co-leaders? I'll be the commander of Earth's forces and you be the commander of the island forces. And afterwards we can share armor tips, cool? Seconds later, Captain Marvel sighs as she rockets back out of the base with one of the Imagined Order's ships, stating that she needs everyone to cover her retreat. Because, you know, she wasn't arguing and she completed the mission. Obtaining a ship capable of going off-world was a major win for the heroes, as they needed it to get to the moon and recover a mech from when one of the former 7's members crash-landed there. With the help of Storm and Thor to help keep the icy blizzard at bay, this was the heroes' only chance at turning the tide of battle with something that could easily overpower the Imagined Order. But while the Avengers have their mission in Reality Zero, back on Earth, Spider-Man and Wolverine have teamed up with the Imagined and Jonesy of Reality Zero in search of a shard of the 0 point that is now on the Marvel Universe. However, as they reach the Wakandan border, they are not met with the friendliest of welcomes. Imagined says that she has had enough of this and lifts one of the giant mech panthers into the air to give Jonesy a clear shot with his grenade launcher. But as Jones takes aim, Spider-Man webs the launcher and pulls, telling him, no! The pilots are just doing their jobs. There will be no killing. The grenade then launches, taking out a chunk of Wolverine. And then he asks, was that your idea of ruining the shot? Spider-Man says that Jones is a crack shot. You should have hit him in the face. Besides, you heal in what, 10 minutes? And Wolverine yells back, it still hurts, webhead! And then a voice calls out telling the soldiers of Wakanda to stand down. Everyone turns to Shuri as she steps out, stating that she is welcoming of Spider-Man and Wolverine, as they are friends of the royal family, but the others are not. State your business here or leave. Jonesy smiles. You see, to really understand this, we're gonna have to go back to the beginning of all creation. Spider-Man interrupts him. They're from another dimension, and it's a crisis, and there's fighting and dancing, and we're all gonna die. Shuri stares, and Wolverine chimes in. Yeah, I can vouch for that. I'll explain everything. In words that make sense even. After getting the actual situation out of Wolverine, Shuri says, that is interesting. But you think that this crystallized fragment of your 0 point, the source of all realities, is in Wakanda? The Imagined says that her armor traced its energy signature back to this location, but some kind of interference is keeping her from narrowing it down further. Shuri says that would most likely be their supply of vibranium. It's a metal unlike any other. As they reach the mines, the Imagined begins her scan again, stating that she is having a hard time. Wolverine tells her not to bother. It's not in here. She asks how would he know, and Wolverine tells her that he can smell it. Stands out like bacon, a scent I've never come across before. The scent has faded. The fragment was here recently, but it's gone now. All I can smell is lizards, reptiles. Shuri says that her sensors don't react to reptilian life before a certain size. Given their proximity to Serpent Valley, this place is crawling with lizards. If something came and didn't take vibranium, it wouldn't have triggered any of their alarms. Perhaps they should stop by one of Wakanda's other natural wonders. After reaching Serpent Valley, Wolverine guides the group on the scent of the metal and oil, and suddenly a sigh is thrown at Jones. But Wolverine deflects it. We've got company. Suddenly, a group of ninjas jump out, and Wolverine says, I don't know these guys. And Jones tells him that he does. They were running around Reality Zero for a little while, but they weren't riding dinosaurs. As one attacks, Shuri slashes with her spear, cutting the mask off of the attacker to reveal a reptilian face hissing back at her. Shuri pauses, asking what the hell is this, but the Imagined blasts the reptilian, telling everyone to focus. They've got a runner, they need to stop them. Spider-Man leaps up, swinging over to try and stop them, but as he gets closer, the reptilian lights a bomb, tossing it back. Spider-Man pulls back to shield everyone with his webbing, but afterwards, the only thing that is left is ruins. Shuri says that the explosion was incendiary. There's nothing left to trace. Wolverine then says that he caught a scent before it blew up. That fragment or something else, it's a weird mix of human and dinosaur. Spider-Man stands up, telling him, half human, half dinosaur. Reptile people. This is all like a neon sign pointing to my old sparring partner, Stragon the Dinosaur Man. We might as well get our bug sprays ready, because it looks like we're heading into the Savage Lands. Meanwhile, back at Reality Zero, Thor and Storm are quelling the moon's storm enough to allow Iron Man and the Foundation to land relatively close to the crash site. The scientist scans it, stating, it's intact, more or less. Missing an arm, of course. And there are some hull breaches, but all things considered, the Met could be in worse shape. The big question is the power core. I'm not sure where it's located. We're gonna have to split up and search for it. But as Foundation checks the cockpit, he yells to everyone, come quick! I found the Paradigm, and she's alive! As the Paradigm is pulled out of the cockpit of her mech, Foundation quickly charges his gauntlets and points it towards her. How did you survive? Paradigm sits down, telling him that it was her armor. It kept her in stasis, and the mech protected her from the worst of the weather. It's good to see him too. Foundation says that this isn't some tearful reunion. You're a traitor. You betrayed us to the Imagined Order. Give me one good reason not to execute you where you stand. Paradigm gets up, slapping Foundation's hand, telling him that maybe because everything he just said was wrong, that because there was a giant monster coming and she was the only one who could pilot the mech, the Imagined Order was perfectly content letting anyone on the island die so that they'd have a clean slate. They only gave her a shot because they were worried the monster would pose a threat to the 0 point. Even though she was uniquely qualified to pilot the mech because of her world's relation to technology, they still demanded that she did things their way. Because if she didn't, they'd have created a doomsday weapon to annihilate the monster and every innocent being on the island. She believed that they would do that. Scientist says, you know, I believe her, Foundation. Wiping the island clean and starting over is exactly what we're trying to stop them from doing. Foundation scoffs. I'll take her at her word, but I'm not letting my guard down. Paradigm points to her helmet, stating that this is her surprised face. Wait, it comes to my mind that you came here looking for the mech and not me. Which, the mech itself is pretty dead. We could repair it, but it'll take forever to power it up. Iron Man tells her, yeah, don't worry about that, because right now, some of my friends are back on my world trying to get a crystallized piece of the 0 point as we speak. But to most people's surprise, Spider-Man and his team are fighting off lizardmen ninjas in the Savage Land in search of that 0 point fragment. As the Imagined begins to tear through the battlefield, Jones tells her to take it easy. They need at least one of them alive to question. Spider-Man webs up one, telling, hey, don't worry, I don't kill, it's my thing. Call me old-fashioned, but heroes should hold themselves to a higher standard. Wolverine slashes through one of the ninjas, stating, I never claimed to be a hero. And Shuri stabs another one. My duty is to protect Wakanda at all costs. Imagine then throws a boulder at one, crushing them. I'm just mean. After the fighting is over and one ninja is left unharmed, the team goes to interrogate them, but all they do is hiss. Spider-Man asks Jones if he speaks Lizard Ninja, and Jones tells him, yeah, I know 342,000 languages, and I'm afraid hissing lizard isn't one of them. Shuri tells him not to worry. She and Wolverine can track down the creatures to their den. Wolverine begins to carve into a Triceratops, telling them all that they're going to make camp tonight, and we're going to leave in the morning. Triceratops is actually pretty good eating. So later, after they make camp, everyone begins to dine on the Triceratops, with the Imagined looking at Wolverine asking, how old are you? I'm just shy of 200, though it ain't really common for most folks. How could you tell? She says the way he carries himself, how he doesn't waste words. And Wolverine tosses an eaten bone, telling her that he knows better than to guess a lady's age, but he figures that she's in a similar situation, older than she should be. Imagined says that she wouldn't know what her natural lifespan is. There's nothing natural about her. She and her sister were enhanced by their father in every possible way at the genetic level, before they were even born. Wolverine laughs, telling her that Daddy sounds like a fellow that I've met, named Sinister. Imagine tells him that her father's name is Gino. And Wolverine pauses. Gino? Isn't that the big bad that we're fighting? Yep. The founder and leader of the Imagined Order, formed to figure out the perfect organizational system for an ideal civilization. It just hit me. You calls yourself the Imagined and your sister is Order. And I also know what it's like to be changed. Imagined goes on stating that she doesn't mind that, but it really gets to her why it happened. She and her sister were born from privilege, making them immortal. At first they liked it, felt as though the Omniverse was their playground, but her father's obsession with perfection got the better of him. When one of his fellow members of the Order's inner circle made a bet with him, he couldn't resist. He'd sent them both into the loop, the part of Reality Zero's island where beings lose their memory and knowledge of who they are, where they're forced to fight. The bet was that she and her sister would be the first ones to break out of the loop, and how quickly. Which they did. Just they weren't the first or as fast as Gino thought. When they went back home, they were met with themselves, snapshots, duplicates of people created by the loop. They were them, just shaped more by fighting to the death than being raised as special. They weren't good enough, so their father replaced them, just like that. And she really has no idea why she's telling Wolverine any of this. Wolverine tells her, because it hurts, and I'm here. And maybe because I can tell you two things. First, your old man's a tool. Two, the way you talk about your sister, she is special to you. Both of you are to each other. You've got each other, so take comfort in that. And hey, for what it's worth, I agree with you. The next morning, Wolverine and Shuri begin to track the Lizardmen, stumbling upon a large, advanced building in the middle of the jungle. Spider-Man looks at it, telling them, okay, I'm getting a feeling that this is way bigger than Stegron. And then suddenly the team is slapped away by a giant green tail. Stegron walks forward with 3 bulked up dinosaurs. Nothing is bigger than Stegron! Then another voice tells him, yeah, you've trespassed on the domain of the High Evolutionary. I have no quarrel with you, but I do know what you seek and I will not be giving up the Zero Shard. Imagine tells him, yeah, how about that? And she jumps into the air, punching the Evolutionary in the face as he shouts, you struck me! As the Evolutionary fires an energy beam from his eyes, narrowly missing the Imagined, she grabs him by the hands to fight for control. He then tells her that she's impressive, Work with me and we could create perfect beings to survive what is coming. Imagined tells him that what is coming is that she is going to kick his ass. But while Wolverine, Shuri, and Jones hold things outside, Spider-Man sneaks into the stronghold to try and steal the Zero Shard. However, he reaches the facility's core where he finds the door has already been blown open. It's that moment that his spider sense alerts him to an energy beam that is shot out from within. Inside, Dr. Doom is holding the shard. You have my thanks for easing the path to the Zero Shard. I had neither the time nor the inclination to fight the evolutionary for it. But while I'd enjoy crushing you all under my heel, Doom is called to greater things. But I leave you to my minions. A gateway opens up with more Lizardmen ninjas stepping out. Man, suckered by lizard ninjas. I'm never gonna live this down. Doom enters the portal. Farewell. You may rest assured that all creation is safe in Doom's hands. Yeah, that sends me chills, not safety. Back outside, the fighting stops as the evolutionary sees that he was robbed and says that it's as he thought. Doom has used the shard to travel to Reality Zero. Jones takes out his teleportation gun, telling them all, well, that settles it. Time to fire up the portal device. Imagine looks at the evolutionary stating that she has a personal reason to not like him, but it seems that they share a common foe and they could use his power. The evolutionary tells her that her power is quite adequate. However, no. Without the shard, I must focus on the survival of Earth's species. I wish you the best of luck. As everyone begins to enter the portal, Stegron quietly asks, you deceived them, right? You have a plan to destroy them? But the evolutionary tells him no. Such petty matters of revenge must now be put aside. For my brief time with the Zero Shard, what I learned was chilling indeed. Come, we must load my storehouse of genetic samples into a vessel, and I hope that I can survive what is unthinkable, yet likely inevitable. The end of not only our reality, but all realities. As the High Evolutionary's portal closes behind them, Shuri says, Ancestors! We have been to Reality Zero before. What fresh cold hell is this? Spider-Man tells her, if I had to guess, I'd say we're on the ice moon instead of the island. From the feel of things, Jones undersold the iciness. Jones tells them that from what he's heard, it's usually much worse. Their friends Thor and Storm must be suppressing the cold. Wolverine says that they need to keep moving. Doom wouldn't have come here without a reason. And I could smell molten metal that way. After a bit of walking, the five of them come up to a castle covered in snow, and just as they suspected, there's a path into it that was just freshly made thanks to the Antarctic vibranium that Doom holds. But inside of the castle, there are dozens of creatures and objects suspended in ice, as if they were being preserved, with Jones calling out that it's the Ice King. The imagined order always wondered what happened to that guy. He raised a bunch of hell on the island for a while and fought a molten lava sort of guy called the Prisoner. It all led to a giant monster getting loose. I wonder if... But before Jones could finish that sentence, he steps on a trigger in the floor and a projection of the Ice King appears. He welcomes them all to his throne and has no doubt that they have questions. Uncounted ages ago, he and his brave allies began collecting items of power, things and beings too dangerous to exist. His worst fears were realized when one of his comrades argued about using these items to alter realities to their liking, and thus he was forced to freeze him within the fortress. While fighting, another menace broke out, but thankfully it was stopped, but not by him. He had failed his duty. An unacceptable circumstance like that should never be allowed again. So he returned here and made it inhospitable to all beings. Their presence proves that they are too dangerous to remain free. And for the good of the Omniverse, they will become a part of the collection. Jones begins to wonder what's going on, but it's Wolverine who realizes things are getting a bit colder. Meanwhile, Imagined radios back to Foundation, telling him that whatever they're doing over there, they need to get the hell off of the moon. Foundation tells her that they're kind of in the middle of something, but they've rebuilt the mecha. All they need to do now is get it powered. Please tell me that you have the Zero Shard. She says that they're kind of working on that, but the point is they need to get everyone off of the moon as soon as possible. If they succeed, they'll be right behind them in the mech. At that moment, Wolverine grabs Imagined and pulls her out of the way of an energy blast as everyone gets into their fighting stances. Across the room, Doom says that it's all rather amusing. Like beheaded chickens that do not yet know that they are dead. Realizing that Doom is using the Ice King's arsenal, Wolverine hacks through the pillar of ice so that Jones can grab a rifle to defend himself. Except he has no idea how to even fire the weapon. Shuri saves Jones from another blast, and together with Imagine, the two women destroy Doom's weapons just as Spider-Man webs up his shield, ripping it off. Enough! I've no time to humble you as you deserve. I will use the power of creation itself to destroy you, Doom calls out. Using the Zero Shard, he begins to break apart all of the pillars, taking their weapons and quickly turning them against the heroes. Shuri then holds out a device stating to defeat Doom, her brother once used this technology to render all processed vibranium inert. That it should also have an effect on the Antarctic vibranium within the Zero Shard. She presses the button and the Zero Shard reacts by shocking Doom, and Shuri tells Spider-Man to grab it and get to the mech. Spider-Man webs it up, telling her that he's on it. Hopefully he doesn't freeze to death getting there. Once Doom recomposes himself, he picks up another weapon, firing it, yelling, "You have already lost! Spider-Man will die in that storm within minutes!" With no other choice, the remaining heroes charge at Doom to try and stop him. But even without the Zero Shard, Doom proves to be too much of a foe for them to stop. Everyone lies on the ground, broken, and Doom holds up the cannon, telling them that it ends as it must. The last thing that they're going to feel is the sting of failure. Just then there's a rumble as a giant mecha hand crashes through, reaching out. And in that mecha head, Paradigm says that she's guessing that is Doom. Spider-Man says, yeah, the name does fit. Doom fires at the hand to keep it at bay. I've wasted too much time here. The final battle will occur on the island. We will meet there again soon. He escapes with Imagine asking if that's Paradigm in the mech. She thought that she was dead and a traitor. But Paradigm says that she covered all of that with Foundation. If she doesn't want to ride the mech with her, then she can hop on his ship. But either way, they're heading back to the island one way or another. The Zero War is about to end. Later, back on the island, Foundation radios to Paradigm, telling her that they are seeing alarming movements from the imagined order. They're ceding strategic points to them and pulling back to their central positions. They'd only do that if they were preparing to evacuate the island, which means that their doomsday weapon is due for completion ahead of schedule. What's your status? She tells them that they're ready to launch in just a few moments and she'll be there shortly. Jones asks if she's ready, because he's ready. He's readier than ready. He's like overly prepared. Foundation tells him that she'll be fine. Are the others ready? I know the moon's environment took a lot out of them. Jones motions behind him, telling him that he's glad that he asked. You want to see fighting shape? That is fighting shape. Donning the Reality Zero tech, Spider-Man leaps in. Oh yeah, it's me, your friendly Omniverse Spider-Man. Anyone want to see my back bling? Iron Man flies in, telling him that he's got to hand it to them. Some of this tech, well, it's no Hulkbuster, but this stuff defies the laws of physics. Foundation tells them that none of that tech leaves the island. So enjoy it while you can. While everyone gets ready for the final battle, Imagine's sister, Order, joins the preparations when suddenly Scientist notices a wounded manfish walking towards them. Scientist runs over yelling, "Fish sticks!" And the man says, actually, it's Triggerfish. I came because our unit got wiped out, but I got the intel. Take it. Avenge me. Scientist takes the drive, telling him, don't worry, they'll fix him up. But Triggerfish tells him that there is no fixing him up. Just don't let them do this to any more fish sticks. Or anyone. Their weapon, codenamed the Collider, will reach critical mass sooner than expected. And if you all don't stomp it, all life on the island will get wiped out. Our only hope is to act now. And the news gets worse. Their weapon incorporates the 0 point. They're using creation energy to destroy everything. Foundation says that the good news is that they've confirmed the location of the Collider. It's on the top of the tower. They've got shields protecting the area, and those shields need to come down. The Paradigm is launching her mech. They need all shields disabled by the time that she arrives. Iron Man turns to Thor and Storm, telling them that they did a lot back on the moon. If you need to sit this one out. But both Storm and Thor tell him that they're fine. They fight for Earth, for Reality Zero, for the Omniverse stock! Moments later, the assault begins, and just as things are looking grim, Paradigm arrives to give them a helping hand. She tells them that she'll handle things here. They need to hurry inside and focus on getting those shields down. Jones runs off to the last generator, blasting it with Scientists, stating that they've eliminated the last of them. The Collider's exposed. Paradigm jets over to the massive weapon, powering up her sword, getting ready to strike. But before she can, the ground around the Collider gives way, and the mech falls into their trap. Everyone rushes over to check on her, but she tells them that she'll be fine. She just needs to make repairs. They gotta keep going. So Foundation tells everyone to attack the tower. He doesn't care how. If the 0 point touches the crystals at the top, everything ends. Iron Man is the first to flying in, but before Foundation can tell him to wait, the tower shocks Iron Man, turning his new suit into nothing more than a human-sized paperweight. He tells everyone that he can't feel the armor, but he's alive. Go. Be careful. Whatever's up there, we're talking Thanos levels of power. Imagine looks up and tells them that she can tell who it is, and radios to Order that Daddy just got home. Seconds later, Order lands beside her asking where, and Imagined points up. Wolverine says that Iron Man tried, but he got blasted out of the sky. So Imagined picks him up and begins to fly up there. He tried a frontal attack, did what you'd expect. Now, brace yourself. As the three crash through the floor, Order yells to Gino that he is done running from them, and he tells her that he never ran from his daughters, he only tried to help them. But at some point, children have to face the consequences of their decisions. Gino grabs Order, lifting her up, telling her that this is ridiculous. She is still his blood. Just ask, and I'll let you live. I'll send you somewhere safe. She struggles, telling him that she has a better idea. What about they send him everywhere? And she kicks Gino hard enough to send them all over the ledge. As they hover over the 0 point, Gino shouts, "Are you mad? If we hit the 0 point, it'll tear us apart and scatter our bodies throughout the Omniverse." Order says that she's okay with that, and Wolverine asks Imagined if she's sure about it. She tells him completely. The sisters begin their attack. Wolverine locks himself against the wall, holding on to Order as the two blast themselves, causing Imagined and Gino to fall. Order screams out, reaching for Imagined, asking why. And Wolverine says that this is because this is what she wanted. Imagined made him promise that if someone had to do it, it would be her. She wanted to give her a chance at a good life. She wanted Order to be happy. And Order yells, "No, you idiot, you don't understand. It didn't work." The two go look over the edge to see Gino's face, telling them, "Enough, I've had enough of this. I will wipe out all these failures from existence." Foundation fights his way through and sees Gino holding Imagined, telling him, "It's over." And Gino ignores him, telling Imagined that this isn't what he wanted for her. He wanted her free, but she could never do the same for herself. Foundation charges his blaster, yelling to get away from her, but as both Imagined and Gino destabilize, he tells him that if there's anything that he could have done for him, he would have. He's afraid the best that he could do was just slow the process down. Jones asks what is happening, and Foundation explains that they are discorporating at a molecular level, being scattered throughout the Omniverse. Don't let your guard down, though. Gino's still dangerous. Can't you just accept that you've won, Foundation? You spoiled my plans, which, incidentally, were to protect and perfect every reality in the Omniverse. There's no point in arguing who the hero is. You always believed that my methods were abhorrent, that you knew better than me. Well, congratulations, now you get to prove it. I genuinely hope that you were right, because if you fail, it means the end of everything. Foundation tells him to explain, but Gino tells him there's no time. You're gonna find out soon enough. Master the 0 point in any way that you can. I know that you believe that my subjugating was obscene, immoral, but maybe you can sing lullabies to it. Though I have to admit, selfishly, that it's good to lay my burden down after all this time. It'll be nice to rest." And with that, some time passed as Thor and scientists worked together to connect the 0 point to the Bifrost, which allowed people to be returned to their homes. As they watch, Iron Man turns to Foundation, telling him that they're armor bros now. And Foundation says, "We are definitely not armor bros. Now please go home." But across realities, pieces of Imagined and Genos begin to form. However, in Genos' case, more and more pieces of him begin to appear and put themselves back together to recreate him.
And there you have it, both Marvel and DC's crossover with the Fortnite universe. But who do you think would win if they were there at the same time? Let us know in the comments down below, and let us know what you thought of these Fortnite comic crossovers. And of course, like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.